Hey YouTube, Bob here. Welcome to World of Nintendo. I've got a lot more content like this on the way, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know what you think. Here we go. This is the Super Nintendo edition of the World of Nintendo Favorites playlist. And in this one we're going to be taking a look at some more games that in my collection that are my favorites. And keep in mind that I'm limited to my collection. I don't have nearly as varied of a collection as others do. So these are some games that I'd like to recommend that aren't your typical run-of-the-mill Legend of Zelda or Super Mario games. And right off the bat we're going to start off with one that is fairly well known. Super Castlevania 4. However, I'm going to present it and recommend it with a little bit of a caveat that maybe you try the Japanese version instead. And the main reason for that is the US version is kind of an edited version or a censored version. A lot of the religious iconography, namely crosses, have been removed, as has been some blood from the title. On the title screen there's actually blood dripping from the title in the Japanese version. And in the dungeon stage, the US version replaces the red pools of blood with a green color to kind of represent more slime. So I would highly recommend the unedited and original Super Famicom version if you can find it. And if you can, I've got a couple suggestions for ways that you could play it. But before we get to that, a little bit about the gameplay. This again is kind of your basic hack and slash, move from left to right or sometimes right to left, sometimes up and down side scroller. Very typical of the early Castlevania games. Doesn't have any of the RPG elements that we would see introduced with Symphony of the Night on PlayStation. And to be honest, that's the way I like my Castlevania games. Very simple and satisfying gameplay. So if we take a look at the back of the Japanese box here, very beautiful art kind of representing a stained glass church window and some screenshots. The box art varies quite a bit with the US version, Super Castlevania 4. Doom is at hand for the Belmont legacy as you enter the most chilling chapter of the most fiendish horror story ever told. Just be sure to tell your next of kin before you begin. And this is a game that we rented for my friend Brian's 13th birthday party in, actually maybe it was 12th birthday party in 1992. And of course we played this game all afternoon and all evening until we finally beat it. And then after that, couldn't stop thinking about it. And again, a big part of that, not only because of the satisfying play control, but the music in this game. Especially, this is pretty much a launch window game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The music is just fantastic, and that's what we come to expect from Konami anyway. We've got some more screenshots here. Not the same ones from the Japanese version, some different ones here. The gravest Castlevania adventure breaks new ground and buries you in it. A century of Transylvanian tranquility is about to come to a shocking end. Once again, the mortifying screams of helpless villagers shake the ground as they huddle against new nightmarish horrors unleashed by the Duke of Darkness, Count Dracula. And this time he has a tombstone with your name on it, Simon Belmont. You must descend into Castle of the Undead and its gruesome grounds, accompanied by the most chilling sound effects ever to tingle your spine. Inside, a freshly dug 11-level maze features the treacherous Terrace of Terror, the dangerous rotating dungeon, the sunken ruins of lost spirits, torture chambers, and creature-filled caves. Use your whip like a grappling hook and swing past hundreds of traps and a host of ghost freaks, living corpses, and hidden goblins, all while dodging or destroying the unpredictable spitting lizards, carnivorous coffins, and more. Find the concealed weapons needed to defeat everything from eerie phantoms to haunted furniture. Then prepare to find yourself face to thing with hideous torments like the Tongue Lasher, the Darkest Night, the Bone-ified Horseman, and the Granite Crusher. When your nerves get shot, use your password and take a breather. But forge on, Simon Belmont, because if you thought Dracula was down for the count, He's only just begun to fight. So yeah, a lot of that backstory there kind of speaks to the varied environments of this game. I remember in the Angry Video Game Nerd series of Castlevania games, he regretted that starting with Symphony of the Night, Castlevania was just kind of relegated to inside the castle. This game has lots of different environments to go through, which is really, really neat. I've always enjoyed that part of the game, right along with the music and the play control. One thing to keep in mind from a collector standpoint, though, is you might want to be sure that you get the original edition, where the copyright is limited only to 1991 and Konami. Because in about 1997 or so, Nintendo licensed production to some of their earlier games to a company called Majesco. And while they're fairly decent and official reproductions of the games, there are some differences that I'll go through here once we unbox. Alright, so we've got the game with the dust cover, and in the original version you're going to have the sticker with the warning on the back. With the Majesco reissue, all this information is going to be kind of printed or embossed right into the plastic, so that's something that you want to be aware of. And then with the Majesco reissues, the instruction manual has a black and white cover. If it has a color cover, then you know that you have a first edition. So there's the instruction manual. And what else do we have for Super Castlevania 4? Got our consumer precautions, and we've got our Nintendo Power subscription. What we don't have is that warning to be sure that you turn the power off before ejecting, like we saw with Prince of Persia, another Konami game. So that issue must have started to surface within the first year of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, where kids were breaking their systems by trying to force the eject button when the power switch was engaged. So opening up the poster here, it looks like we have kind of a mix of lots of different things from Konami's games. We've got Dracula, and I don't know the character's name, but from Legend of Mystical Ninja perhaps, and then a dragon from Contra, and then Michelangelo. Let's see what we have on the back. A lot of information about Castlevania 4. Yep, Legend of the Mystical Ninja. Maybe it's Goemon. I think Goemon is the name. Yeah, Legend of the Mystical Ninja. And then, oh, it's Gradius 3. That wasn't from Contra. That double-headed dragon was from Gradius. And then it'll be out before you know it. Turtles 4. Cool poster. Surge of Power is headed your way. And then we've got the looks like to be the same Konami registration card that we saw with Prince of Persia, but like I said, no warning to be sure that you turn the power off first. Alright, so that is the US version of the game. Let's take a look at the Japanese version of the game. Like I said, this is the one that I recommend because it is not censored in any way, and since this game doesn't rely heavily on any text, the text that you would read, you really don't need to read. So you've got your instruction manual there, and then the Super Famicom game cartridge, which that's where I'm going to have some recommendations of how you might be able to play this game if you do want to import it off of a site like eBay. Looks like we've got some advertisement here for some Famicom and Game Boy games by Ultra or Konami, including some peripherals. Wow, a switch box. That's pretty cool. Wasn't aware of that. Yeah, looks like we have some sort of registration card. And then the typical warning about the AC adapter that we usually see with Super Famicom games. But anyway, like I said, because it's not censored, this is the version of the game that I do recommend, the Japanese version. And if you do want to play it on a system in a different region other than Japan, there's a couple different ways that I might recommend. Number one, if you have your US game or a US game cartridge, what you can do on eBay is buy something called a game bit. And this game bit is designed to be able to remove and replace the screws in a Super NES game cartridge. So it might be as simple as taking out the ROM chip from the Japanese version and putting it in the shell of a cartridge that will be able to be inserted in a US Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Another option might be buying one of these adapters here. All you need to do is put your Japanese game on top, and then the bottom will be able to be inserted into the US Super Nintendo Entertainment System. There are some ways you can go about clipping out the plastic tabs, but I don't like to. I actually think that's ruining the official hardware there, so I don't like to go those routes where you actually have to destroy things in order to make it work. And then the final recommendation I might have, I've talked about analog systems before. This is the analog Super NT console that is an FPGA Super Nintendo Entertainment System. These are region free, so Japanese games will fit in the console, as will US games. So, a couple different ways that you would be able to play, either with an adapter or using a game bit to take out the screws and swap out the ROM chip in a cartridge. Well, that's all for now. Until next time, I want to thank you for watching and keep an eye on World of Nintendo for lots of new content that I'm going to have on the way. Take care.